Hey guys, I'm Nicole,
I'm Samara.
and we did our project on the nonprofit organization of Young Life. Our mission statement is introducing adolescents to Jesus Christ and helping them grow in their faith. Our goal is to double the number of kids we reach around the world as we implement our forward priorities of deeper in Christ, together, innovation, and growth. Since 1941, Young Life leaders have walked with kids and earned the right to be heard in an exhausting and exciting world. In over 100 countries, we know more than 2 million kids by name. 320,900 kids are involved weekly around the world. So kids around the world who attend Young Life Camp totals to about 492,000 kids.
So, yeah, that was kind of just a background to what our organization is that we're working with. So kind of from this point forward in our presentation, we're going to be acting as if we are talking or doing our workshop. So for this presentation, we are pretending as if we are hosting a workshop for Young Life area directors, and that's included in the statistics that there are about 5,255 staff. So potentially there's not quite that many area directors, but potentially we would be at a like an annual conference, and we would be doing one of the workshops at the conference. So all of these people, all of the staff that are area directors or that are regional directors would be attending our workshop, and our workshop is going to be focusing on how to implement healthy communication, both with volunteer leaders, since it is a nonprofit, with area directors and their bosses, so their regional directors, as well as volunteer leaders with committee members and committee members with area directors. So kind of how to implement healthy communication all across the board. And we're also going to be talking a little bit about teamwork and how to implement healthy team skills, and how to go about team building. So yeah, from this point on, we're kind of going to act as if we're not talking to the class, but as we're talking to area directors in our workshop. Hello guys, welcome to our workshop on healthy communication and team building. It's an honor to be here with you guys today. My name is Samara.
My name is Nicole.
And we're going to be hosting the workshop today. So, we're going to leave you with some practical tools to implement healthy communication. We're going to talk about why it's necessary to have healthy communication and to go about team building. And we're going to show you some reflexive experience that we hope that you can take home to do in your own areas, as well as give you some statistics. And we're just going to get the ball rolling. But Nicole is going to start with talking about the survey that we sent you guys.
So about 2 weeks ago, before this conference, many of you received a SurveyMonkey survey on just kind of our ministry and how we can use different tactics, and where many of you stand in relation to your role as an area director amongst your staff associates and leaders. So many of these questions contain like a rating system. We asked you guys how you would rate communication amongst your relationships with staff associates, team leaders, how communication would be rated between team leaders and volunteer leaders, so their subordinates. We asked how you would rate your communication with volunteer leaders, so minus the middleman of the team leader, and just we asked you these questions in hopes that you would have time to reflect on your communication patterns and how that could be improved, and what room there is for growth in those areas. So in terms of constructive exercises, we asked you what aspects of your ministry needed improvement. Many of you actually voted teamwork and healthy communication, and chose that a workshop would be the most effective way for us to communicate that with you, and just to share tips we have for what that could look like. So we're here today to kind of give you some practical advice after some research we've done, and just to encourage you guys as area directors to take the first step towards, communicating effectively, because that is the most important part of our ministry. We want to reach all the kids in this area, and that starts with us setting up a firm foundation for our leaders.
Yeah, and kind of what Nicole was saying, I'm sure all of us in the room know that it's imperative to have healthy communication, and that if we can implement healthy communication in our own areas, so wherever you're an area director for, whether it be somewhere in California or somewhere in North Carolina, we believe that if the areas, the smallest part of our ministry can have healthy communication, that it's only going to affect our ministry in a positive way on a global scale, and that we're going to see our numbers continue to rise, children continuing to know Jesus because of our communication that we have made a priority in our areas. So we're going to start off today, now that you have a little background information, with a little reflexive experiment. So there's about, we would guess, like 4,000 of you in the room right now. And what we're going to have you guys do is you're going to pair up in about groups of 5. So whoever you're sitting near, kind of just like turn in a little circle, and we're going to come around. We have some people out there with you that are going to give you cards. There's going to be about 5 cards in this deck of cards, and each card is going to have a topic on it. The topic might say something like family, or something that you're passionate about. Those are just 2 examples, but each card will say something different. And essentially what's going to happen is we're going to set a timer for 1 minute, and the first person will draw their card, and for 1 minute, that person only is going to talk about whatever the card says. So if your card says family, for 1 minute, that person is going to talk about their family, and the 4 other people that aren't talking are solely listening. And then after that, you're going to have about 2 to 3 minutes to simply not comment on what they said, not try to rebuttal it or come up with any questions. You're simply going to summarize what that person said to show them that you were actively listening. So it's just going to be summary, and that can kind of be like a popcorn thing. But yeah, we hope that this would give you a clear idea of what this experiment looks like, so that you know how to do it and can go back to your areas and do it there with your teams. Okay, class, so we're not actually going to do that experiment right now because we don't have enough people to do it, but you have an idea of what we would do for this reflexive experiment. Right. So, okay, now we're back talking to the area directors. We're going to enter into the next part of the workshop, and we're going to talk about some different facts, some different takeaways that are going to help you with healthy communication and team building. One of the papers that we read while doing some research said this quote that I'm going to read. It says, "The paper demonstrates that effective communication is the common bond and unifying thread linking all the relevant factors to achieve and retain competitive advantage in a multicultural environment. Conversely, it also shows that ineffective communication can result in erosion of customer confidence and a subsequent deterioration in the organization's ability to compete effectively. So in the case of YoungLife, our customers are not like an average customer. Those would be the children that we're impacting in the schools that we go into every single day. Those are our customers. So if our communication and teamwork skills are not where they should be within our team, within our volunteer leaders and area directors and staff associates, then when we go into the schools, we're not going to be able to communicate well. And you guys, I'm sure this is common sense, but we just want to show you that this is actually proven and that our communication is really, really imperative to how we're able to communicate with our customers or our students. So children will not be reached effectively, and our numbers will not continue to rise like they have been in the past if we don't spend time to really focus and take care of our communication habits. So another thing that we're going to talk about is how understanding how we communicate is key. I think that it's a pretty wide range assumption that when I say the word communication, then I'm talking about solely speaking. But actually, there are three main types of communication. We have oral, written, and nonverbal. And not one of those is more important than the other. So knowing how our nonverbals are affecting our communication is really important. And that's something that we want you guys to go back to your areas and talk about with your volunteer leaders who are going into the school and being a representation of our organization. So we want them to make sure that their nonverbals are healthy and are aligned with our mission. So some examples of nonverbals would be like the form of body language, our clothing, our actions, and things like that. So being aware of like eye rolling, we wouldn't want two volunteer leaders to be rolling their eyes at each other when they're in a school, because that would not give our customers the right idea of who we are as a mission. So knowing that is communication, and that's a part of communication that would make it unhealthy. Mm-hmm. So keeping that aware in your volunteer leaders' minds and having that be a topic of discussion. So another thing we're going to talk about is when organizations lack cross-departmental communication, workflows tend to lead to specific departments working independently of each other, which segregates relationships across the organization. So we're going to talk about this because we think it's really important that we have healthy communications all across the board, not just between volunteer leaders who are often friends, and not just between the area director and the staff associate. We want that communication to be across the board, across all the departments. So we want the committee members in your area to be involved with your volunteer leaders, to know them and to know how they communicate, and to be an active part of your area. So we want that communication to be healthy on all the different levels. Let's see. The next thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk a little bit about teamwork now. So again, while we were doing research, we looked at many different scholarly articles and journals, and this was a quote that we thought really summed up teamwork and what we think is good teamwork. With properly organized teamwork, the activity and production of an organization gains more quality, better results are achieved, there are more opportunities to disclose individual talents, positive changes in the organization are incited, and at the same time it is easier to adapt them. However, in order to form an efficiently functioning, cohesive team is particularly important. Focus must be paid not only on an employee's attitude towards teamwork, but also on their personal competences, and particularly on the communicative competence. So we want to focus on the fact that teamwork is fun. It's not a burden. So we think that something important to note is that in society today, in our individualistic society, it doesn't always seem fun to do teamwork. It seems like more of a burden. And we want to say that that's not true, and that's not how Young Life functions or how we ever want it to function. We want to function as a team, and we love this quote that I shared because it talks about how when we're in a team, what should be happening is that our individual talents should be rising to the surface. They shouldn't be stifled. They should actually be used even more in a team setting than they would be in an individual setting. So for an example that we want to talk about, if you have a volunteer in your area that you know is really good at communication, right off the bat, going home after this conference, a really awesome thing to do would be to have that person help you lead your area in these communication experiments, and as you grow as a team, have that person come and join you and help you come up with fun ways to get everyone involved. Or if you have another volunteer that is musical, even if they're on the committee, find ways for them to get really, to be able to share that with your whole area. So there are countless ways to be able to find people's individual talents, even if it's finance. Make them feel special and important for that, and realize that it really does have a huge impact on a community and how you function as a team. So we're just going to keep lecturing a little bit more, and then we're going to open up the floor to questions, and we really hope that we can talk more specifics about your areas in that section. So something that we want to talk about too is that we totally understand that in such a large organization, that there's going to be conflict, and there definitely already has been. There's going to be, especially in your own areas where you have so many different volunteer leaders who come from different areas, not everyone is going to be best friends, and there's going to be conflict at some point. So with that being said, we want to read this quote from another scholarly journal. It says, "The chance to openly discuss an issue or situation strengthens the relationship between the manager and the employee." So between you, the area director, and those who are below you, your volunteer leaders. "The dialogue can create an environment in which an ongoing discussion may occur. It helps to build trust between the manager and employee, in which open communication is valued. Difficult conversations also help to develop collaborative solutions between employees and or between management and employees. By addressing a difficult situation and encouraging the parties to bring forth ideas to resolve the situation, the effective leader creates an environment that not only addresses conflicts, but encourages solutions to be developed rather than imposed." We encourage you to not run from conflict, and since we know that conflict is going to arise in your areas, we're really hoping that these communication skills will be implemented, so when conflict does arise, you have healthy communication skills, because that's like one of the best ways to work through conflict is with communication. So we hope that you would go home and implement what we've taught you and talked about here, so that when conflict does arise, you know how to go about it, and the healthy communication is already established and well in play.
So on your seat, when you walked in, you probably saw a nice little brochure. We've got it kind of up on the screen behind us. But just a brief overview, we provided you with this brochure just so that you would be taking notes, so that you have something physical in your hands to take home with you. And remember that this is just a starting place. We have brought you here just to kind of kickstart and encourage you further to love your area well. As area directors, it is so easy to take that responsibility upon yourself as the highest man in charge and not look to your resources for help and establishment of just using all of our resources effectively. In our 2 quotes that we felt were very crucial that you would just remember. It's so hard to copy down everything you related on in this small notes area we provided for you. However, in regards to teamwork, we really hope you would take away that with properly organized teamwork, the activity and production of an organization gains more quality, better results are achieved, and there are more opportunities to disclose individual talents. Positive changes in the organization are incited, and at the same time, it's easier to adapt them. With this being said, if you hear nothing else about teamwork today, we hope that you would hear that we were not put here to work alone. You are given so many resources, a handful of volunteer leaders and staff associates and committee who are there to help you and to advance the kingdom through your ministry. We hope that you would hear that you are in charge of these leaders and this group of just assets towards your ministry, but we also think this is crucial, and without healthy communication it would not be effective. So communication can take many forms. It can be oral, written, or nonverbal, in the form of body language, clothing, actions. And these forms of communication interact to create meaning. Communication is a process, and an act of communication does not occur in isolation. It's part of a larger context of interaction. So through using healthy communication skills and making sure that we don't try and put this all on ourselves, we have to realize that nonverbal, oral, and written communication are huge parts of our ministry, and we would be at loss if we did not take great advantage of them. So we just thank you for being here today. Thank you for listening. We hope that you would again take those note cards home with you, reproduce them, and use them in your leadership settings with team leaders, with committee, and with volunteer leaders. We hope that your staff associates would be able to contain all the information that you relay to them, and just that this would be a starting block for the growth of your ministry.